In this video, we're going to look at exercise 4.3, where we are moving information from our general journal into the general ledger accounts. I'm going to describe just the cash ledger account because the cash account is affected by lots of our transactions and it gets the most work, and it's usually where our errors end up. So I'll just be working with the cash ledger. That would not be normal. We would take our general journal items one at a time and move them in the order that they are, in the order that they are in the journal. We would move them into the individual ledgers. So we're going to do the cash ones, just singling those out, and we're going to skip the other ones for now. All right, so our first item is the cash that was deposited to begin our business. So the cash account for $30,000. When you're moving this to the journal, you want to move this whole line of information and put it in the same column here into the ledger. So we're going to move to the cash account, and we're going to put in that that was on September 1st. And the post reference is from journal page 1, and that was a debit. Oops, sorry, forgot I don't have all the right. And then what we're doing next is we're carrying it over into the balance columns. This is the very first month of business, so we don't have a running balance coming from our last month of time. As you are looking at the cash account, if it helps for you to turn the balance section into a T so that you can refer back to your cheat sheet, maybe that would be a good idea. The other thing I like to do is highlight the word debit, just to remind myself that that's the side that the balance will go on. So as I'm keeping a running total, it will only be on the debit side. Now, the information that I'm bringing from the journal will be debit and credit, and we will either increase or decrease the debit balance, but we're only going to have information on this side, on the debit side. So you can see, I don't have the right laptop here to draw anything, but if you wanted, you could just put a big X on the credit side to remind yourself that nothing's ever going to be on the credit balance of our cash account. All right, going back to our journal, now we need to say that we have posted this line. So here's where we put the 101, and then we're ready to go on to the next cash. So next we really would do capital and so forth, and we're going to just skip down to this one. Now, none of these would have any numbers in the post reference. You put those numbers in after you write it in the ledger, then you come back and you write the account number to sort of check it off. Okay, so we're skipping. We're going to do this line, the cash from the 16th of September. We paid cash for the automobile, so cash is going to be decreased, so that will be a credit. All right, so that's on the 16th of September. Moving back here, we just have to write the 16. Again, that's on journal page 1. This is a decrease in cash. Okay, so now to make our running total, we need to subtract 15,000 from 30,000 to get our new balance. Okay, and then we need to go back to our journal and post reference account 101 to show that we have posted that. Okay. Next, on the 20th, we paid cash for supplies, so we have a credit of $260. That was on the 20th. Still on journal page 1. A credit for $260. We're going to subtract that from 15,000. So we're going to have 14,740. Doing that in my head. I'm not very good at that. All right, and then go back to post reference with our 101. It was already there, but it shouldn't be. Okay, so we come back and we write our 101. Okay, next we have, this was when we had returned supplies and the company that we bought it for gave us cash back. So we debit our cash for $85. So that was on the 23rd. Still on journal page 1. And $85. So we add that to our 14,740, and we come up with 14,825. And we finish that. Back to our journal, and 101 goes there. Okay, speeding through, pretending we did all those. We're down to the 30th. We paid on our account with Den Inc. So we have cash going out. So a credit of the cash for $2,100. I forgot the date. The 30th. Still journal page 1. And that was 2,100. We're subtracting that from our balance. You can think of this as your checkbook register if that helps you. That leaves us with 12,725. And then back to our journal to write that we finished that one. Now we're moving on to journal page 2. And the first item that has cash in it for journal page 2, I'm just going to get rid of these, was our drawing. So Zach Mason took money out of his business, an owner's withdrawal, and that happened on the 30th, and it was $1,500. So the 30th, journal page 2, took out $1,500. Subtract that from 12,725, and we come up with 11,225. And back to post reference that. Oops, wrong one here. Okay, skipping down to the next item on the 30th was we paid rent, cash for $3,500. Journal 2. And subtracting that from the 11,225, we get 7,725. Go back to post reference that. Dang it, keep going to the wrong one. Okay, and then also on the 30th, we performed services and got paid cash, $1,325. Journal 2, 1,000. Did I read that wrong? Oh, I show 1,000 here, but I think it's 7,000. Let me look again. $7,325. Didn't think that looked right. 7,325. And then we're adding that to the 7,725 to get 15,050. And we're going back to reference that. And then last transaction is our telephone expense. Also on the 30th, we paid $220 out for our telephone bill. So 30, J2, paid out, subtract 14,830. Okay, so now there's no more adding or subtracting to do. If this is the last transaction of the month, which in this case it is, then we just need to know this bottom number because we're going to put that number in our balance sheet when we fix our financial statements. So the only thing we would need to do there is put a double underline to show that's the balance. Okay, so here's some ways to help you remember which side stuff goes on. Do you add or subtract? Okay, first think about the balance columns and think back to your T accounts in Chapter 3 and look at your cheat sheet and know that this is an asset account. Make yourself notes. Write notes on your work. Make notes that will help you look back at this and understand it when you're studying or working on another problem. And mark the side of the T account that the increase happens on, and wherever the increase happens is the side that the balance will be. Okay, so our first item, we're transferring, the first two columns we're transferring directly from the journal, but then you immediately take them over to the balance column and keep a running total. Let's see, what else could you think of? You could make a note here that you add debits to the balance and you subtract credits from the balance. Hopefully that will help you keep that straight.